Hello everybody, this is Dino GTO, and this video here is going to be an overall summary of what they are doing in 9.17, or at least the latest version of 9.17 that they have released onto the common test. Now, one of the most significant changes are these changes here. These changes are pretty massive. One, they are making the MX5120 able to depress and elevate its gun. I have one of these, and this elevation kills it so badly. 6 degrees elevation is horrific. 6 degrees depression is also horrific. But these changes are actually going to make this thing actually playable, because this thing right now is so damn awkward. Like, I stopped playing it. I got to 120,000 XP in it, then I stopped playing it, I think it was 120 at least. But yeah, thanks to the introduction of the Swedish heavies, they are now looking at them again, and they have actually done something to make the French heavies better, which is nice. They also increased the depression of the 50B by 2 degrees, which is pretty awesome. They have also, and this is one of one of the most requested changes for this machine. I personally never had a problem with the penetration on the super Pershing, but 190 pen, if they're going to buff it, I'm not going to complain about it, because that is a gigantic buff. That's a full 20 extra millimeters of penetration. It's gone from having less penetration down the IS6 to having the same as the M46KR, pretty much. And because they buffed the super Pershing, they have also buffed the the M46 Patent KR. They have buffed the front turret thickness, and they have buffed the gun mantlet. If you have driven one of these, you know that the gun mantlet on this thing was awful. Like, it could not take a hit from anything. And this is actually going to make it able to actually take a hit from things when hold down. Like, the reason you would still play this thing as a hold down vehicle, but the way you played it hold down was you played it to show a smaller target to the enemies. That's why you went hold down. There was no other real reason for it. You just, because your turret never bounced anything. You may bounce one in every like 10 shots, but yeah. There's the lava buff, which I have already done a video on. You can see my general opinions of this, but I'm going to play this thing on the test server, and I'm going to try and give a gameplay review of it in its 9.17 form, because I believe this change may actually make this machine good. This is a very minor buff. If you don't know what this area is, there's a slight sloping at the very bottom of the side armor of the 112, which is 60 millimeters. It seems like kind of a buff to this thing, because I'm not really sure how the hell you were getting shots into that, but okay. I guess, although actually thinking about it, you could partially overmatch that with a 122mm gun, so yeah, I guess that could be an issue. But yeah, this thing's just going to get even tougher. So yeah, let's see. Also, the T-34, and this is a big one because people have been requesting this for a long time. They have buffed basically all of the gun stats of this vehicle to make it actually able to aim its gun quicker. The aiming time reduced to 3.2 seconds will help this thing a lot, and they've also boosted the view range by 20 meters to make it able to actually see further, because right now it has the same view range pretty much as the IS3. IS3 is 350, this is 360, so they're pretty much identical. 10 meters, you're not going to notice that very often. What was the other thing? Yeah, 380 is about the level of the 110, I believe. So, yeah, that's a decent buff. And these changes here will make this thing's gun handling a lot more usable, because you can actually turn the turret, and the reticle bloom will not be as big, and the aiming time overall will be faster. So, pretty good changes overall. I like all of these changes. I can't really see any real problems with any of these changes, because the T26, the Super Pershing, the main thing of that machine is that won't actually increase the amount of damage you're doing by that much per game, because the DPM The number of shots you can get out per minute isn't that great still. So yeah, it has armor, it has decent pen, so it may increase the consistency at which you're able to do damage. So you may actually be able to pen the IS-3 now frontally, maybe. Still a bit touchy on that because it's an IS-3 and the IS-3's armor's pretty bullshit. But and actually thinking about it, you may actually be able to pen the IS-6 now. Maybe. Maybe. Not confirming that, but maybe. So yeah, on to the next changes. Okay, they have. Okay, actually, hang on. It's probably more important to cover this bit here first. They have postponed the new changes to the rickshaw and overmatch mechanics. They have postponed those changes. Now, that is an extremely important change. Now, you will actually. Now we don't need to worry about the total balance of the game being broken. Because that will mean that the Object 140 won't suddenly become the best tank in the game by far. The IS-3 won't be getting better than it already is. And other vehicles, yeah, I made a video talking about this here and why I thought it was a terrible idea. So yeah, I'm happy that they've changed this. It was mainly to benefit the Tier 8, 9 and 10 Swedish tank destroyers because they have extremely good sloping but not much actual armor, which means that when they come out they're going to be extremely weakly armored. But I think they're going to revisit these changes, and if they can make them specific to specific tank lines, like the French TD line would be my main suggestion because those things really struggle with their current armor. Like if you expose the side armor at all, you're going to get panned. That's just how it works with those things right now. So yeah, good change. I'm glad they're postponing it, and I'm hoping that they revisit it and rework it a bit and make caliber still relevant because machines like the E100 and the machines like the Type 5, Type 4, all those like massive caliber guns, they relied to an extent on the overmatching mechanics to actually pen stuff consistently because their accuracy is very random. So a lot of the time you wouldn't exactly hit where you aim, but because you hit somewhere that you could overmatch, you would still do damage. And if this change went through, it would have totally fucked up those tanks and it would have made some tanks totally overpowered. So yeah, good change. I'm happy about it. I'm happy they did that. Now on to the Swedish tank destroyers. They've it mentions that they have postponed the overmatching, but they have also changed a lot of the parameters for these vehicles. They have buffed the time it takes to change to siege mode. It only takes 2 seconds now, and if you don't know what that is, that's the equivalent of these things aiming time. So you press X, it takes 2 seconds to go into siege mode, where you can then move your hull up and down to use your gun, and left and right without any without resetting your binoculars or your camo net, things like that. So that's a good change for these vehicles, considering they're no longer going to have armor, which is, I think, a good thing because these things with armor was kind of a pain in the ass. I played against a couple of them who knew what they were doing, and it was really freaking frustrating to actually fight them. So yeah, I think this is overall a good thing. So yeah. They have reduced the time it takes to go from siege mode to travel mode, which is a good thing as well, because that means you can press X. If somebody points their gun at you, you may take one shot instead of taking 2 or 3, because only things with fast aim times are going to be able to aim at you and shoot you before you're away, and these things accelerate quickly. So yeah, pretty good change. Gun dispersion after firing. They increased the gun dispersion because I think they found that they were too accurate. They were too deadly at range, so they had to change that a wee bit. Vertical gun traverse speed. Oh yeah. Now the vehicles can go up and down faster, so that they can point the guns at their targets faster. They've increased the forward and reverse speed in siege mode, making them a bit more usable in that mode, because previously doing 3 or 5 kilometers an hour forward and backwards, that was killer. Like, that would get these things killed all the time. Like, if they get spotted and then they had to go into travel mode, or if they tried to reverse or move in siege mode, then they would just get obliterated. They would just die so fast. So yeah. Reload time for travel and siege mode used to be 10.3. Okay, I think they have basically made the reload time universal between travel and siege mode. So that will make it less confusing for people, because I can imagine that being extremely confusing when you first start playing this thing. So you press X and suddenly your reload time and all your soft stats increase, or well, not increase, but they get better. They get way better. So it seems a little bit. I can understand how that would be confusing to some people, and I think that's probably a good change just to make it a bit more understandable for people. And they've also increased the dispersion for them when they're in siege mode, which I also think is a good change, because right now they were basically laser pointers and they could just shoot wherever the fuck they liked and they were going to hit. So yeah, that's a good change. Still the most accurate gun in the game in siege mode, when it is in siege mode. Still the most accurate gun. This thing here is also, I think, third most accurate gun with this thing in the game after the Grill 15. So yeah, still going to be extremely accurate, but nowhere near as OP accuracy wise as they were before. So yeah, I think those are some good changes considering they're not going to have armor next patch. But as I can just advise you that these are probably going to change whenever you go to. Well, these are probably going to change in the future whenever they revisit the overmatching changes. So don't expect these changes to be permanent. I would think they're probably going to change at some point. Okay, now on to these changes, and I'm just going to say this here right now at the start. These changes were definitely needed because the Kranwagen, that sounds German, that doesn't sound right, but well, yeah, actually, watching Jingles' video on the Swedish Tank Museum, their words are kind of German-like in terms of like how they work. Like Panzerkampfwagen means armored fighting vehicle, and they have their own version of that sort of stuff. So yeah, well, I'm just gonna call it the Kranwagen. Kranwagen needed a nerf because it has one of the best turrets in the game by far, and it also had really good drum reload time, and the upper front plate got a wee bit weaker because it was also basically impenetrable for a lot of tanks. In fact, actually, I'm not entirely sure about the upfront plate. I think it was almost impenetrable for everything. I may be exaggerating. I will check that, and I will put a comment on the screen now if I'm wrong. They increased the time it'll take to unload the 4 shots that this thing has, and it's a 120mm gun, which I think is a good change because currently they were exposed for, I think, 5.5 plus 2, 7.5, 0.75, so about 8.25 seconds, and this will change that to 9 seconds. So yeah, that gives people a bit more of a chance to actually shoot at them and potentially do damage. But yeah, if they're all down, you're still not going to pen. So this isn't that much of a nerf for this vehicle because it still has 12 degrees of gun suppression. It still has an absolutely amazing turret. So this isn't going to hurt the tank too much. It's still probably worth getting. Now, Emil 2 lost some engine power because honestly, the Emil 2 was the better version overall of the Kranwagen, because I don't really see why you would go onto the Kranwagen if the Emil 2 is basically almost exactly the same tank a tier lower, if you know what I mean. So they had to nerf this thing in order to make the Kranwagen actually appealing, because I heard a lot of people saying that they weren't even going to bother with the tier 10, they were just going to go for the tier 9, and tier 9 they'd be happy with. And honestly, I still think the tier 9 is still going to be extremely powerful, but I think it's going to lose. I think it's still going to be definitely competitive. It's still going to have way stronger armor than the 5120, although that's not hard. I would say it's probably going to be that kind of like a what the hell is it called? The T10. If I had to guess, I'd say it'd be like a T10. Very hard to penetrate turret, and decent upper front plate. Lower plate kind of sucks. If you know, like, I think that's a good way of putting it. And Although actually thinking about it, don't expose your side armor ever in this thing because as far as I remember, it's like 30 or 40 millimeters. So avoid doing that. Yeah, the increases to the reload time between the shots. Uh, Decreases in general like acceleration, things like that. Up front plate is now thinner, so the front armor is still going to be strong, I think, because the angling and the sloping on that is still very, very powerful, but it's not going to be as powerful as it was. So I think that's a good change because these things were going to break the balance of the game. I was actually planning on making a video about how these things are going to basically break the game for a while, but yeah, that's a good change. I think it's going to make them a bit more in line with their competitors. Now, same kind of story with the Emil 1, and they're actually seem to be making the reload between shots in the magazine universal until the tier 10, which I think is a good change because that would mean a bit more consistency in the line. Making the tank a wee bit slower again, so yeah. The Leo changes, I'm not entirely sure. Was that tank overpowered? I never really looked. But the STR V74, it's basically a big T37 with the most accurate gun at tier 6, I think. I think it's got the best gun handling at tier 6, but it's a big target and it's not the fastest thing ever, so yeah. And the Leo is basically an RU251 with a 105mm gun, about the same size and not far off the same speed as well. So I can see why they're nerfing it a little bit, because right now, because in its previous form it was basically a light tank disguised as a medium. So yeah, I think that kind of makes sense as a change. And this is like a bug fix where they had this issue with the siege mode where if you press X, it for some bizarre reason it affected all of the reticles in the game. So they fixed this. They fixed this issue in the common test or in this version of the common test. So yeah, just a general bug fix. Yeah. So overall, I think these are good changes. I think they're going to keep like a lot of people are going to complain about the Swedish losing their main thing, and that was their sloped armor working versus their competitors at their own tiers, and they're going to lose their front armor to an extent, and they're going to lose a bit of mobility, and people are going to complain about that. But I think the overall strength of their turrets and they're still, I think, probably still pretty good mobility. I think with those turrets, I think they needed to be nerfed because they were still extremely fast, and their reload times, yes, they were kind of crap, but it really needed to happen so that people can actually have time to shoot at them and trying to get more damage into them, so that they don't just run rampant throughout the game and just killing everything they come across. Because I have a feeling that if they had released them in their previous form, I think they would have basically been the best tier 8, 9, and 10 in the game. And yeah, I think it's good that they actually told us all about these changes beforehand instead of doing what they did with the STB1 and changed it for the live server but didn't change it for the test server, which people were really angry about when they realized, because the STB1 was going to be the most powerful machine in the game when it was introduced. Like, it had the best gun handling, it had the best rate of fire for a 105mm gun. For a long time it held the highest DPM in the game. Or not in the game, for a medium tank at tier 10. It had extremely accurate gun, it had extremely good gun handling stats. It was basically old school M48 combined with more DPM. So yeah, it was and a much smaller target overall. So yeah, glad they're making everybody aware of these changes, and overall I think they're good. Although some of these will probably still be adjusted before they go to the live server. Which I believe the preliminary date set for these coming to the live server is, I think, the 15th or something like that, or the 13th. So still, I think, a week or two away. So just be aware of that, and yeah. I think that's my summary completed. Don't think I've left anything out. I just need to remember to put that little note in, and I am going to check if these changes here for the liver combine with the patch 1, with the first patch's changes to the liver. So yeah, Okay, I think that's everything. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.